The crash in the wasteland. The wind blew across the dry, empty land. Dust covered the rocks. The sky above was orange with thick clouds. Nothing moved. No people. No animals. Only the broken remains of old machines. This planet used to be a mining world, but the company left years ago. Now it was quiet, dead, except for one man. His name was Grant. He lived alone in a small metal shelter made from scrap parts. Every day he walked the same path, checked the same solar panels, and fixed broken machines. He liked the silence, or at least he used to. One morning, while searching for old parts near the canyon, Grant saw something strange. Tiny footprints in the sand. He froze. No humans lived here. No ships had landed for months. He knelt down and touched the tracks. Small. Too small for an adult. He looked around. In the distance, he saw smoke rising behind a large rock hill. Grant grabbed his old scanner and moved quickly toward the smoke. He climbed over the rocks, he saw it. A small ship crashed into the ground. The engine was gone. The wing was broken. Fire had burned part of the hull, but something was moving. He ducked behind cover and waited. A small figure crawled out from under the wreckage. It was not human. The creature was about 3 feet tall. It had soft purple skin, thin arms, and glowing, yellow eyes. It wore torn clothing and carried something small in its arms. Grant looked closer. It was another one, a child even smaller, maybe 2 feet tall, not moving. The taller alien sat down in the dirt, hugging the little one tightly. Grant's heart ached. They looked weak, tired, starving. He stepped out slowly. The older one saw him and screamed. She jumped up and stood in front of the small child, arms out like a shield. Her hands shook. Her legs were unsteady. "Stay away," she cried in a strange language. Grant raised both hands. "I'm not going to hurt you." She didn't understand. She backed away, still protecting the younger one. "I can help," Grant said gently. "You're hurt." She didn't move. Then the smaller child coughed, a dry, painful sound. Grant took one slow step forward. He pulled a water bottle from his bag and placed it on the ground. Then he backed away. The alien girl stared at him, then at the bottle. Very slowly she crawled forward, picked it up, and helped the younger one drink. She looked at Grant again. Her eyes were still full of fear. But now, also something else. Hope. Grant knew he couldn't leave them there. He pointed to the sky, then pointed to his chest. "Human," he said. Then he pointed to her. "You?" She stayed quiet for a long moment, then whispered something. "Nala," he nodded. "Nala." She looked down at the small child. "Tico." Grant smiled kindly. "Nala. Tico. Okay." It took time. Slow steps, soft words. But finally, Nala let him come close. He picked up Tico gently. The child was burning with fever. Grant looked at Nala. "We need to go." She hesitated, then followed. Back at the shelter, Grant laid Tico on a soft bed and gave him medicine. Nala sat in the corner, watching every move. Her eyes were tired but alert. Grant cooked warm broth, added crushed minerals for health, and gave her a spoon. She didn't touch it. "Poison?" she asked quietly in her language. Grant shook his head. Then, to show her, he tasted it first. After a long pause, Nala took the spoon. She ate slowly, then faster, then tears ran down her cheeks. "Thank you," she whispered. That night, Grant watched them sleep. He sat near the door holding his old rifle, just in case. Outside, the wind howled through the wasteland. Inside, for the first time in years, the shelter felt full. He didn't know who they were. He didn't know what brought them here. But he knew one thing: they were alone, they were starving, and now they were his responsibility. The hunger and the fear. The shelter was quiet. Nala sat on the floor, arms wrapped around her knees. Her brother Tico slept on the bed, wrapped in a warm blanket. His breathing was soft but weak. Grant moved around the room, checking machines and heating the food pot. He didn't say much. He didn't come too close. He didn't want to scare her, but he was worried. Tico still had a fever, and Nala hadn't eaten much since they arrived. He placed a small bowl of warm soup near her. Nala didn't look at it. "Eat," Grant said gently. "You need strength." She shook her head. "Maybe it's poisoned." Grant sighed. He picked up another spoon and took a bite from the same bowl, then another. "See?" he said. "Not poisoned." Nala watched him closely. She slowly reached for the bowl. Her hands were shaking. She took one bite, then another. Then she finished it all. She didn't say thank you, but Grant saw something change in her eyes. Less fear, more hunger, more life. Later, while Tico slept, Grant tried to ask questions. "What happened?" he asked. "Crash? Pirates?" Nala didn't answer. She just stared at her brother. Then finally whispered, "Our ship broke. There was a hole. We fell fast." Grant nodded. "Where were your parents?" Nala's voice cracked. "Gone." That one word hit hard. He didn't ask more. The next morning, Nala sat by the window. She didn't speak much, but she watched Grant. She watched how he checked the solar panels, how he cleaned the air filter, how he gently changed Tico's blanket. She was confused. He was human. Humans were dangerous. That's what her mother had always said. If you see a human, run. They don't help, they take. They don't care. But this one cared. Why? That night, Grant gave Tico a few drops of medicine. The boy stirred and mumbled something in a soft voice. Nala's eyes lit. "Up, Tico," she whispered. "You're awake." The boy opened his eyes. He looked around, confused. Then he saw Grant and screamed. Nala held him close. No, he's helping." But Tico wouldn't stop shaking. Grant stepped back, giving them space. He spoke softly. "It's okay, kid. You're safe here." Tico didn't understand the words, but he saw Grant's calm face, his soft eyes, his gentle hands, and after a while, he stopped crying. Later, when Tico fell asleep again, Nala sat near the heating unit. Grant offered her a cup of warm juice. She took it without fear this time. "You help us," she said. "Why?" Grant thought, for a moment, then said, "Because someone helped me once when I had nothing." He didn't say more, but Nala understood. As the wind howled outside, Grant looked at the stars through the window. This planet was still dead, still lonely. But now, 2 small lives had entered it, and somehow, it felt a little warmer. In the corner, Nala whispered to herself, "Maybe not all humans are bad." And for the first time in days, she smiled. The hidden message, the wind had calmed. The red sky over the wasteland slowly turned gray as the morning began. Grant walked alone across the rocky ground, following the same trail he had taken 2 days ago. He was heading back to the crash site. He had to know more. Who were the kids really, and why were they out here, completely alone? When Grant reached the wreckage, the ship still smelled like burnt metal. He stepped carefully over the broken pieces. One side of the hull was ripped open. The engine was missing. Panels were scattered everywhere. Then something caught his eye. A blinking light, half buried under a melted control panel. A data beacon. Grant dug it out and cleaned the dirt off. It was damaged, but not dead. He opened his toolkit and connected it to his portable scanner. Message file found, partially corrupted. He tapped play. A voice came through. Female. Calm. Tired. "If you're hearing this, please help them." Grant listened closely. "We were being followed. They want the children. Not for rescue. For profit. They are rare. Special. The last of our line. My name is Cyril. Was their mother. Grant's chest tightened. My ship was hit during descent. I programmed the pod to land far from the bounty's path, but I don't know if I survived the crash. If I didn't, please protect Nala and Tico. They are more than just children. They are hope. The message ended. Grant sat down on a rock, silent. They weren't just refugees. They were targets. Hunted. He looked up at the empty sky. If someone was after them, they might still be tracking them. He had to move fast. Back at the shelter, Nala fed Tico slowly with a spoon. His fever had gone down and he could now sit up and whisper short words. "You're strong," she said softly. Tico smiled weakly. The door opened. Nala jumped up until she saw Grant. He looked serious. In his hand was the beacon. He explained what he found. Nala's eyes filled with tears. "My mother's voice." "You heard her?" Grant nodded. "She said you're special, that others are coming." Nala sat down slowly. "She told us to run, but we crashed too hard. I thought she was gone forever." Grant placed the beacon gently in her hand. "She loved you. She tried to protect you." Nala wiped her eyes. "We must leave. If they find us—" "No," Grant said. "You're safe here. I'll protect you." "But they're bounty hunters," she said. "They don't care who gets hurt." Grant looked at the stars outside. "Then I'll hurt them first." That night he worked on old defenses around the shelter. Motion detectors, heat traps, EMP mines from the mining days. He wasn't a soldier, but he was an engineer, and he would use every broken part to build a wall between the kids and anyone who tried to take them. Inside, Nala sat beside her brother. She whispered to him, "This human, he didn't run." Tico whispered back, "He stayed." They both smiled. Far above the planet, a dark ship moved through space. Inside, 2 bounty hunters scanned a map. A red dot blinked on the surface below. "Target found," one said. "The children?" "Confirmed." The second bounty hunter grinned. "Let's go claim our prize." The attack at night. The sky was black. The stars above the wasteland were hidden behind thick clouds. A strong wind blew outside the small shelter, but inside, it was warm. Grant sat by the window, holding a long metal tool that had been turned into a weapon. His eyes never left the sky. He knew what was coming. Nala and Tico were asleep on the small bed. Tico had finally stopped coughing. Nala's hand was resting on her brother's shoulder. Even in sleep, she protected him. Grant checked the motion detector again. Nothing yet, but that would change. He walked outside and set the last trap, an old mining drone rigged with a shock device. If anything crossed its path, it would send out a high-voltage blast. He looked around the dark hills. "Come on," he whispered. "I know you're out there." At midnight, the signal alarm beeped softly. Grant's eyes shot open. The radar showed a small ship landing just beyond the ridge. Unauthorized craft detected. He stood up fast, grabbed his gear, and locked the inside hatch behind him. Then he woke Nala. Her eyes opened wide. She knew something was wrong. "They found us," he said. "Take your brother, go into the floor hatch, don't come out until I say." She nodded without arguing. "I'll come back for you," Grant said. "I promise." Nala and Tico crawled into the secret bunker under the floor. Grant covered it with a rug and pushed a chair over it. Then he turned off the lights and waited. The door blew open with a loud boom. Dust and wind filled the room. 2 armored bounty hunters stepped inside. Their visors glowed red. One of them scanned the room. No signs of alien life. "But this is the signal." The other looked at Grant. "Where are the kids?" Grant stood still. "What kids?" The first hunter pointed a weapon at him. "We know. They're here." Grant raised his hand slowly. "I'm the only one here. Just me and my machines." The second bounty hunter looked around, then walked toward the wall. Just as he stepped near the hidden trap, it triggered. Zap! A shockwave threw the hunter across the room. The other turned, but Grant moved fast. He slammed the door shut behind him and dropped a smoke grenade. Outside, more drones were moving in. Grant activated every trap he had set. Smoke, heat blasts, loud signals to confuse sensors. The whole area lit up with flashes and sparks. Inside the shelter, Nala held her brother close. She heard shouting, blasts, and crashes. Please be okay, she whispered. Grant fought hard. He used every trick he knew, but there were too many. He was knocked to the ground by a flying drone, and one of the hunters slammed a boot on his back. Where are the kids? Grant spat out blood. Far from monsters like you. The hunter raised his weapon, but before he could fire, a beam shot down from the sky. Boom! A sleek black ship appeared in the clouds above. It bore a symbol Grant had only seen once, the rebel crest. The bounty hunters froze. One tried to run, too. Late rebel soldiers dropped from the ship and surrounded them. Inside the shelter, Nala peeked from the floor. Is it safe? Then she heard a voice. Nala, it's okay. She looked up and saw a rebel medic with glowing eyes and kind hands. Come, little one, the medic said. We found your signal. Nala grabbed Tico and climbed out. She ran outside and saw Grant, bloody, hurt but alive. Grant. He looked at her and smiled weakly. Told you. I'd come back. She threw her arms around him. You didn't just protect us, she whispered. You fought for us. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You're family now. The bond they never expected, the battle was over. Smoke still floated in the air. Burned machines and broken weapons lay scattered across the ground outside the shelter. The rebel rescue team had taken the bounty hunters into custody, but inside the shelter there was no celebration. Tico was getting worse. He lay on the bed, breathing fast and shallow. His small body shook with fever. His skin, once light purple, had turned pale and dull. Nala sat beside him, holding his hand, tears in her eyes. Please stay strong, she whispered. You're my only family left. Grant stood near the door, watching quietly. The medic from the rebel team checked Tico and frowned. He's not just sick, she said. His body is reacting to something. Maybe the human air, maybe the food, maybe the stress. Grant stepped forward. Can you help him? The medic shook her head. We don't have the right tools here. If we don't treat him soon. She didn't finish her sentence. Nala looked up. Her voice cracked. What can we do? Grant moved quickly. He went to his workbench and pulled out a box of old alien tech he had collected over the years. Parts from wrecked ships, mining bots, and old medical drones. He set them on the table. I'll build something, he said. Something that can help. Nala blinked. You can build a healer? I can try, Grant said, but I'll need your help. Together, they worked through the night. Grant gave instructions, while Nala used her small hands to connect wires and tubes that were too tiny for him. She showed him how her people's energy stones worked, how they used them to balance body heat and heart rhythm. Grant added a cooling unit and a special oxygen mask. They placed the machine beside Tico and started it. Soft lights blinked. The boy's chest rose and fell slowly, then steadied. The medic watched in shock. It's working, Nala gasped. He's breathing better. Hours passed. Tico opened his eyes and looked around. Nala, he whispered weakly. She hugged him tight, crying with joy. You came back, he said. I never left, she whispered. Then Tico looked at Grant. Thank you, he said softly. Grant smiled. You're a strong little guy. That evening, the sky was quiet again. The rebels had secured the area. A medical ship would arrive soon to take Tico for full healing. Nala sat beside Grant on the roof of the shelter, watching the stars. For a long time, she didn't speak. Then she said, Back when we met, I thought you would sell us, or leave us. Grant nodded. You had every reason to think that. She looked up at him. But you didn't. He turned to her. No one deserves to be hunted for being born. You're just a kid. You and your brother deserve peace. She held out her hand. Grant looked at it for a moment, then shook it. That handshake meant more than words. It meant trust. It meant family. Inside, Tico was sleeping peacefully. The healing machine beeped softly beside him. Grant and Nala watched him through the window. He'll be okay now, Nala said with a smile. Yes, Grant replied. You both will. But far above, in the stars, an encrypted message was sent from a hidden satellite. Target location confirmed. Human protector identified. Prepare Phase 2. Someone was still watching, and the danger was far from over. The last stand. The stars above the wasteland flickered like tiny fires. Inside the shelter, Tico was healing. His color had returned. His small breaths were steady now. Nala stayed by his side, reading him soft words from her people's story. Tablet. Grant stood outside, checking his scanner again. Something wasn't right. The rebel team had left earlier that day, promising to return with a transport ship. They said the area was safe, but Grant had lived too long in the wasteland to trust quiet skies. The scanner beeped, then blinked red. 3 incoming ships, unauthorized, fast approach. Grant's eyes narrowed. They're back. He ran inside. Nala, he said quickly. Take Tico into the bunker, now. She stood, heart racing. More bounty hunters? He nodded. Worse, this time, heavily armed. Tico sat up weakly. You'll come too? Grant placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. I'll buy us time. He handed Nala a small device. A signal flasher. If I don't come back in 30 minutes, hit the button. It'll call the rebels back. But you'll come back, Nala said, voice shaking. Grant forced a smile. I always do. The ships landed hard, kicking up dust and flame. 6 bounty hunters stepped out. Bigger, better gear, faster weapons. Their leader wore dark armor with a red skull mark on his chest. He scanned the shelter. This is the place, he growled. No mistakes this time. Grant waited near the edge of a rock cliff. He had set traps again. Old mining tools, hidden charges, decoys made from broken bots. As they approached, he activated the first trap. Boom! 2 bounty hunters flew backward into the dust. The rest opened fire. Grant ran, ducking between rocks, using the terrain as his shield. Inside the bunker, Nala held Tico close. They heard the blasts. The ground shook. Tico whispered, Will he win? Nala closed her eyes. I don't know. But I believe in him. Grant kept moving. He hit 2 more with tripwires and flash bombs, but they kept coming. The leader chased him through the rocks. You think you can protect them? The hunter shouted. They're not even your kind. Grant turned and fired. A stun blast. Doesn't matter, he said. They're mine now. The hunter tackled him. They rolled across the rocks. Grant's shoulder cracked against stone. He groaned in pain. The hunter raised his blade. Then, zap! A shot hit the hunter in the back. He fell. Behind him stood Nala, shaking, crying, holding Grant's old blaster. Grant looked up in shock. You're supposed to be hiding. She dropped the weapon and helped him sit up. Not when family is in danger. Together they limped back to the shelter. More bounty hunters came. But so did something else. A rebel cruiser dropped from the sky. Its weapons flashed blue. Drones flew down. Troops landed fast. The bounty hunters were surrounded, captured, defeated. Later, inside the cruiser, a medic wrapped Grant's arm. Tico was awake, smiling, sitting, in a soft bed. Nala sat beside Grant, her small hand in his. You could have left us, she said softly. I could have, Grant replied. But I didn't. The rebel captain walked over. We've reviewed your beacon and battle logs, he said. You saved these kids more than once, you didn't run. Grant smiled. That's what family does. The captain nodded. Come with us. We have room for people like you, people who protect. Grant looked at Nala and Tico. They nodded, and for the first time, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Belonging. A place to call home. The stars above were bright and peaceful. The Rebel cruiser moved quietly through deep space, far from bounty hunters and broken worlds. Inside, the halls were clean, the lights soft, and the voices kind. Grant sat near the window of the medbay. His arm was wrapped, but healing. His eyes watched the stars, thinking about the wasteland, the old shelter, and the crash site where it all began. He had lived so long in silence. Now silence felt different, because he wasn't alone. Behind him, the door opened. Nala walked in, holding a food tray with 3 small bowls. "Tico said you forgot to eat," she said with a small smile. Grant turned. "I guess I did." She sat beside him, handing him a bowl. Tico followed, holding a stuffed toy one of the Rebel nurses had given him. He looked stronger now, laughing more, standing on his own feet, asking endless questions. They ate together quietly for a few minutes. Then Nala looked up. "So, what happens next?" Grant leaned back. "Well," he said, "the Rebels offered me a spot. They need someone to help fix things. Old tech, ship parts, medical tools." She tilted her head. "And us?" He smiled. "They said you both could stay. No cages, no tests, just freedom." Nala looked at her brother. Tico beamed. "I want to stay." Nala's eyes softened. "And you?" she asked Grant. "Do you want to stay with us?" Grant didn't answer right away. Then he said softly, "I didn't know I needed a family until I met you." Later, the Rebel captain brought them to the New Haven colony, a peaceful planet far from war. The land was green, the air clean, and homes were built into hills and trees. They were given a small home near a river. Inside was a kitchen, a warm bed, and a workshop space. It was more than Grant ever had. Over time, Grant built small machines to help the town. Nala studied languages and shared her people's history. Tico made friends and ran through fields every day, and at night they all sat together by the fire, sharing stories and food. One night, Nala held a small stone in her hand, her mother's. "Last gift from the crashed ship." She looked at Grant. "Do you think she would be proud?" Grant nodded. "She gave her life to protect you, and you gave yours to protect your brother. And you gave yours to protect us," she added. Grant smiled. "That's what families do." Weeks turned into months. One day, a reporter from the Rebel Network came to visit. They asked to tell the story of the man who saved 2 alien children. Grant didn't want fame, but Nala said something simple. "If people hear this story, maybe they'll stop seeing aliens and humans as different. Maybe they'll start seeing each other as people." The reporter nodded, and so the story spread, about the human in the wasteland who took in 2 frightened kids, who fought for them, who healed them, who stayed when no one else did. At the New Haven school, the children now told a bedtime tale. Once there was a man who had nothing, until 2 small hands reached out to him in the sand. And from that day forward, he was never alone again. One night, as the stars glowed above, Tico climbed into Grant's lap. "Can I call you something?" the boy asked. Grant looked down. "What is it?" Tico smiled. "Can I call you Dad?" Grant didn't speak. His eyes filled with tears. He pulled Tico close. "Yes," he whispered. "You can." Nala watched from the doorway. She smiled too, because they had found what so many had lost, a place to call home.